Some are called SWAT teams. Others are referred to as special response teams. Some prefer being called emergency tactical response units. By any name, they are the tactical units called upon to perform some of law enforcement's most dangerous jobs. Hostage rescue, barricaded subjects, warrant service, active shooter calls, and, most recently, incidents involving chemical or biological warfare agents. Experience proves that we will react the way we are trained. That's why we need to train exactly the same way we need to perform. Any unit that has high-risk entry as part of their mission needs to train in a live-fire environment. Teams that do not practice live-fire training disciplines are not being trained for the job they've been asked to do. Live-fire training for entry teams is an important facet of the cutting-edge training CQB Incorporated provides. Chuck Habermill has designed a solid, realistic program called High Risk Entry that combines classroom and live-fire exercises to teach vital entry team tactics. The training course includes team instruction and practice in field-proven tactics, techniques, and theories in high-risk entry situations, including wall flood, penetration flood, leapfrog techniques, hallway clearing, cover drills, check drills, barricade clearing, entries with gas masks, entries with level A suits, two-man entries, four-man entries, live fire room clearing. CQB Incorporated founder Chuck Habermill is an internationally recognized expert in the field of tactical training. His law enforcement credentials span more than 2 decades. During his career, Habermill has served as a deputy chief of police, firearms instructor, tactical trainer, and commander of a South Florida SWAT team. He uses his expertise and experience to address unique training needs of special operations units worldwide. To date, Habermill has spent nearly 30 years teaching tactical combat courses to police and military personnel.
The reason you want to have a high-risk entry program is that in this program specifically, your operators are going to shoot live fire. And that is different than the majority of all the SWAT teams and special response units in the country, law enforcement. We're just not shooting in live firehouses, 360 degree like we can here. This is going to make sure that the discipline of each operator, knowing what he's supposed to do, how the other guy's going to react in a situation, what his fields of fire are, what his area responsibilities are, how to breach a door, how to work a door correctly, how to compromise hallways, how to move on barricades, unknowns, closets, and other oddities. This is a total package that allows the operator to build self-confidence and increase all of his skills in the most important thing that he does, and that's squeeze the trigger. A wall flood is, to me, the safest technique that's currently in existence anywhere in the world today, and there are several things that make it safe. One, their positioning on the wall makes it so they can't be outflanked. Nobody can get them from the back, and that's an important asset. The command and control in the wall flood is excellent because all four, in this case, if we're talking 4 operators, are all along the wall together. They can see each other out of the peripheral vision and know when something is gone awry. That's another reason why it's an excellent technique. Shooting the fields of fire. There are areas of responsibility, all clearly defined in the wall flood. So it makes it a great technique. Now, having said that, every technique that has pros also has cons. There are no fail-safe techniques. And unfortunately, some of the cons to the wall flood, it is not as dynamic as some of the other techniques that we use. Also, it's not easy to clear barricades from the wall flood. You have to move forward to compromise a couch or something like that that might be deep in the room. So there again, just like it has some pluses, it has some minuses. Although it's a dynamic entry technique, movement into the room, the energy from that initial movement coming across the threshold has a tendency to dissipate as those operators shift down the wall. And there again, you get a more dynamic technique in some of the other methods, such as the penetration method that we also show in this video. The determination that's made on which technique to use is based on the layout of the structure and what it is you're trying to achieve. An example would be if it's a school, a typical school classroom layout, obviously the wall flood would be a good method of entry because there's nothing along the wall. If, however, it's a residential structure, penetration flooding would probably be a better technique because most of the time you have furniture along the wall. So that's how we decide. The penetration technique is a dynamic entry method. It's the pros of that technique are that it's a little bit faster because it's easier to move heel to toe in moving in across the threshold than shifting like we do laterally in the wall flood. So it's more dynamic. You have more energy coming right at the bad guy. The other thing that makes it good is it compromises barricades a little bit easier. In other words, that couch we spoke about in the wall flood, on a penetration technique, I can already see behind that couch. So it minimizes and eliminates some of the movement that I have to do as part of the entry technique. Areas of responsibility are still clearly defined, and fields of fire are clearly defined. Some of the negatives, you can be outflanked. You've got two operators back to back, in short in the room and deep in the room, another two operators back to back. So it's not the same command and controls you had in the wall flood. There again, with two guys facing one side of the room and two guys facing the other side, the element commander can't see, obviously, all four members, and that hurts because all the commands there are strictly verbal. There's no visual. The noise factor in any dynamic entry is not really relevant. In fact, we want guys to make a lot of noise in all these dynamic techniques. Now, obviously, if we're doing a slow and deliberate, a covert entry, we would want to be quiet and move very, very softly and slowly to get to the target. But in dynamic entry, loud voice commands are part of your violence of action, which is one of the four attributes of dynamic entry that keeps you alive: speed, surprise, firepower, and violence of action. And so we like the guys to talk loud and say the things loudly and forcefully, so it maybe intimidates any of the bad guys inside the location. And because it's a dynamic entry and the bad guy doesn't know what the terms mean, we're allowed to get away with that. In the leapfrog techniques, you'll see two techniques that we use here in leapfrog. Both of them we're working with a four-man element. The minimum we'd work for in leapfrog is three, but in this particular application, we're working with a four-man element. One of those leapfrog techniques is two operators entering while two guys hold the hall. That technique we would use when the doors of a location, by the way, leapfrog is good for office complex, hospital, very popular in active shooter response to a school, and that's because it doesn't take a lot of guys to clear a lot of rooms like you would have in one of those structures. We can get a lot of horsepower out of four guys. In fact, the only thing that limits them from clearing multiple rooms is the fatigue factor. But in the two-man entering and the two-man holding the hall, that technique of leapfrog is used when the doors are closed or secured. And that way we'd have to breach those doors before entering. And then once they enter, the idea is when those two guys enter that room, the next two guys move to the next door, with the first guy always holding his muzzle on the threat, which in this case is the next door. The second guy has his muzzle down the hallway, as you see in the video. When the third man comes out of the room, he takes the hallway, allows those two guys to enter that room, and then that third man now moves to the next room, the fourth man exits and moves in behind him. And we just continue that motion all the way down the hall. If two rooms were adjacent one another, we'd do a simultaneous entering. We'd have both of the elements move up and hit both rooms, one on the left, one on the right at the same time. In the three-man leapfrog with a four-man element, what we see happening there is this is a technique we use when the doors are open. Like, let's say, a school that's been evacuated in the middle of the day, possibly all the doors are open. In that particular response, we have three operators entering the room with one guy holding the hallway. That's a safer technique for a couple reasons. One, you have three guys entering the room, and every guy you enter the room is better because you got another gun and, more importantly, another brain. And you only have one guy in the hallway because the hallway is a bullet magnet, not a good place to be. But we can't always use a three-man leapfrog in that format, because if the doors are closed and have to be breached, then we're in the two-man enter, two-man hold. We can also incorporate shields into this type of entry method with the three-man into a room, one-man holding. We'd give that shield to the first man entering the room, because statistically he's the one most likely to get shot at, and the fourth man, the guy that's left in the hall, so he has protection. In the two-man entering, two-man holding in the hallway, we would give the shield to the first man entering, there again for the same reason, and the third man, which is the first guy that's in the hallway, the fourth man stacked behind him. And we'd run there again that type of leapfrog, if you will, movement down the hall, always letting those shields work for us. So we can work it with shields, without shields. Here again, road patrol can respond, which is the common thing now, especially in the active shooter application. And 3 patrolmen get on the scene. If they know this technique, they can do a lot of work, and they can compromise and take over the bad guy and eliminate the perpetrator way before a SWAT team may even get to the station. Unfortunately, hallway clearing is something that's become kind of a specialty that a lot of teams have appeared to neglect. The old-fashioned way to clear a hallway has been to slice the pie or cut the pie. The problem with cutting the pie in this dynamic application is that it's not a dynamic move, number one, and secondly, the bad guy in the hall would see the same thing you see at the same time frame. In other words, there is no advantage there, and as operators, we always want to maintain the advantage. So what we do instead is we look at a high man, low man clearing technique that's done dynamically. First guy and the second guy both come around the corner at the same time, with the first man being low in a kneeling position, second man being in a high position, both coming around the corner simultaneously. That forces any bad guys in the hallway to shoot either the low man or the high man. They can't get them both at the same time, and that slight hesitation in their thinking process on who they're going to shoot allows us to get the first shots off, and that's why we clear it high man, low man. If I was even by myself, I'm better off to do a dynamic clear around the corner, force the bad guy's hand, because I know I'm better trained and I'm a better shot, and instead of slicing the pie. The cover drills is something that you see in the video. It's a high-speed drill there that where you have one operator simulating he's had a malfunction with his weapon, and the other operator turning and shooting over his head and engaging his threat. There again, another technique that's often overlooked by a lot of entry teams, and we have to have a cover drill in place to respond in real life. If you enter a room and the firefight's on and you go to pull the trigger and you get a click, or you run out of bullets in the middle of a firefight, we know that it's quicker for a trained operator, the key word there is trained, to be able to yell cover, go down to a knee, transition, while the other operator that hears the word cover turns and shoots over his head, engaging his target. The other options would be to reload. It takes a good operator 3 seconds to reload, or to transition from long gun to handgun. It takes a good operator 1.5 seconds to do that. What you have to understand, although 3 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, or 1.5 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, the average bad guy can pull the trigger 4 times a second. So unless you can reload in 25 hundredths of a second, or transition in 25 hundredths of a second, you run a good, strong possibility of this guy being able to engage you before you can get back online. How do we remedy that? We do a cover drill. We know that it takes a second or less for a trained operator to hear the word cover, spin and turn and engage your threat, while at the same time you would be transitioning to your secondary weapon. So we have to have cover drills in place. Okay, a check drill is what we use. It's the term for when check is the term that an operator uses when he wants to check his gun for bullets. For instance, you come into a room, you shoot in the room, but the mission isn't finished in that room, and you're going to continue to go on and clear other rooms within the structure. Check means I want to check my gun and make sure that it's topped off with a fresh mag. Obviously, you'd want to go into every room with a full magazine, because you don't know how many threats might be in there or how many rounds it might take to eliminate a threat. So we're going to top off the gun. Instead of going through a lot of talk of, okay, I want to pull my magazine out and check it and get back online, John, we can just say check. And the response is okay, which means my partner, the other operators, covered my area of responsibility. I bring my gun back, either change magazines or check that magazine, reinsert it if it's good to go, and I call ready and I'm back online. That term is quicker than to get into a lot of, I want to do this, I want to do that, hey, wait a minute, I got to top it off, and a lot of miscellaneous talking that doesn't need to occur. we can simply say check and achieve the same thing. So check means I want to check my gun for bullets. Because if you don't do a check drill, as you saw in some of the video footage, those guys that failed to do a check drill in the room previously that ran out of bullets in the next room, in real life, they would probably be dead. When we look at the footage and we watch guys move to a closet to compromise what's in a closet, or behind the couch, look behind the couch, which is a classic barricade. A barricade definition is anything you can't see over, under, or around. And classically in a house you would think of a couch as a barricade. A closet, although not technically a barricade, is what we consider an oddity. In other words, it's another thing inside the room that causes the entry team some problems. In other words, it slows them down. They have to clear these particular problems before they can continue into the next room. So when we work barricade clearing or oddity clearing in general, it's important that we move when we can two operators on any type of problem area like that. We don't want to move one guy to pull the closet door and clear the closet himself. We want to move two operators. One guy can pull the door, the other guy clears it. Same thing with if we're looking behind the couch. Two operators should move to any of those type of special problems. If we work in four-man elements, as a minimum, that allows us the utmost of safety, realistic safety, because we can move two guys on an oddity as a barricade, and two guys can hold the rest of the room, because there's things going on possibly in the rest of the room that have to be taken care of also. We want to make sure that teams can work with their mask on. A lot of teams don't like to wear their chemical mask. It makes them sweat a lot. It's hard to communicate. The mask fogs up. There's a lot of it makes it difficult to shoot, especially a long gun. There's a lot of problems with working with in a chemical agent environment. But if the guys don't get used to the mask in training, then they're going to run into problems on real missions of having difficulty, and these same problems appear when it's for real, and that's not good. So the best way to get comfortable wearing a mask is to wear the mask. And almost all barricaded subject calls that aren't resolved through negotiations usually end up having chemical agents deployed. And if that doesn't solve the problem, the bad guy didn't come out, we've got to go in. So we want to be good at working in that chemical agent environment and be comfortable with the mask on. The familiarity with a piece of equipment is important, and you can see that's not necessarily the case with all the operators that we're working. But the prepare for gas drill is extremely important, and what we recommend there is every other operator puts his mask on, and once he's geared up and ready to go, he lets his fellow operator know, and then all those other guys put their mask on, and that's the quickest way to do it. That allows us to mask up quickly and at the same time have a lot of firepower still available if the bad guy comes out prior to us finishing our masking procedure. Also, the way they put their equipment away can streamline how they put the mask on. There again, we recommend that the mask, when you put it, if we're using the thigh carrier like these guys are wearing, the M17 thigh carrier, we want the mask looking out at you, if you will. When you open it up, he should be looking out at you. When you pull it out, the strap should already be over the front of the mask. Place your face in the mask and then pull the straps over your head. Those guys that did that masked up in seconds, whereas the guys that didn't do that and put it on incorrectly took a minute or two to mask up, and sometimes we don't have that kind of time. Just as technology has changed, we see the advancement in perpetrators changing also. In other words, the narco-terrorism as well as the standard political, for lack of a better term, terrorist, as well as just the everyday bad guy, has advances in technology that he didn't used to have. He's also armed now with a good automatic pistol, where in the past it might be a Saturday night special. We don't see that much anymore. A lot of these guys are well trained. They practice a lot. They go out, they shoot a lot, they practice, they run their tactics, and they make formidable adversaries for us. To be able to compete with that and stay alive, we've got to make sure that we know what they're doing through intelligence, and then adapt our techniques, tactics, and equipment to give us back the advantage. The Level A total encapsulating suit is there again. We're venturing in an area that's really been neglected or not looked at until now, and most recently since September. But we have to look at the fact that if you look at the amount of anthrax calls that have increased, The talk of smallpox being another problem here again to the world, possibly in the future. The different hybrid biological viruses that could be released, as well as the hybrid chemical warfare agents. In other words, it may not be the old things we've been prepared for. There's people out there that are coming up with new viruses and new toxins and new chemical agents to try to compromise any safety issues we've put in place. We have to, since we may not know what we're dealing with, we have to be protected. And here again, the only way to do that is level A. And people don't shy away from level A because it's very expensive. What you saw is probably about a $3,000 ensemble for each one of those guys. You multiply that by 30 guys on a team, gets very expensive quickly. People are neglecting to use it because it is cumbersome, it's noisy, it's hard to shoot, hard to move. But those are the realities of the level A suit, and we need to work within the problems of the suit, as well as hopefully getting the manufacturers to help us out, knowing that we have a new venue, if you will, to use these suits in, and we'll compromise all these problems, and we'll end up solving them like we have in the past, and SWAT will have another specialty that they can respond with. If you notice too in the level A, the SCBAs we spoke about, these particular carbon tanks are special tanks, a little bit different than what the firefighter would wear. One is their carbon, not that they can't wear those, but it is lightweight, which helps us out. There's no reflective tape or reflective markings on those tanks, where on a firefighter's SCBA you're going to have reflective material so they can be found in a fire and show up better in a smoky environment, so on and so forth. We don't have that because we don't want to be compromised in movement by having some type of reflection on the SCBA unit itself. In addition, there's no audible alarm. When the tank gets low on air in a firefighter's SCBA, it's going to make an audible alarm so he knows he's getting low on air, and he can get out of the structure. For us, that would compromise us, certainly if we were doing a stealth entry. And so what we have on those particular packs is a vibration. So when the guy's got 5 minutes of air left, he gets a vibration field that's pretty significant. He knows he's got 5 minutes. He needs to get out of the contaminated area. Another thing we need to look at is the fact that, is the cylinder that we're using going to allow us to both solve the mission, complete the mission, and still have enough air to get deconned when we come out? And decon could take anywhere up to 8 minutes, and if we only got 5 minutes of air left and it takes 8 minutes to decon us, and we've been exposed to something that's deadly, then we've got a problem. A lot of people, administrators probably specifically, will look at the cost as being exorbitant, and it is very expensive per operator to suit them up. But if one of these guys gets exposed to a toxin or an agent, the amount of medical bills if he survives, and the suit, the impending lawsuit that will take place afterwards with him or surviving family members, you could buy a whole lot of suits for that. The other thing we see is that there are some concerns about some so-called experts in the field that don't think that law enforcement should be involved in the level A response. The argument there is that, well, we have detectors that can tell us what the agent is or what the problem is, and therefore we might be able to dress down accordingly. And yet when you see any of these responses on the news footage, what you'll see is guys that are responding to a known anthrax call, where they might be able to respond in a level B suit, will have a level B suit on, but they'll have duct tape everywhere they might have a place to have exposure. In other words, they're concerned themselves that maybe it just isn't anthrax, and they could probably do away with the duct tape and go with a level A suit and not have to have any fear, because what you don't want to have, especially in a SWAT call or in an entry problem, is that you have no confidence in the equipment you're wearing, and you're concerned about, are you going to get contaminated? Kind of takes the focus away where it should be, which is, where's the bad guy? Again, all teams that have high-risk entry as part of their mission have to work in a live fire environment. Here again, if you look in any state, you'll find very few live fire shoot houses, and the ones that do exist probably belong to the military. That means that most of the SWAT operators out there in this country aren't doing live fire other than what they do on the range, and it's not the same thing of standing flat-footed on the range and shooting one-dimensional, one direction. You have to be able to be exposed to 360-degree shooting, and you can only do that in a shoot house. And so when we have the ability to take a team into a shoot house, it's for the best training they can get, and it's going to put them to the next level. Those teams that haven't done live fire shoot house training, in my mind, really aren't prepared to do the operations that they're being tasked to do, which is barricade subjects and hostage rescue and warrant service, and I think they're a liability. So we need to get more teams in the shoot houses. One of the problems you run into with live fire shoot houses is there aren't very many, and part of the reason is they're expensive to construct. They're also difficult possibly to manage. In other words, it's very high-speed training. The liability that goes with running a shoot house like that is significant. What we need to do is teams that have the access to a live fire shoot house should, or better yet, if your team doesn't have access to a live fire shoot house, you should locate a jurisdiction that has one and make some type of inroads there so that you can use that particular facility, have your guys trained as range safety officers for the shoot house so they can run their teams through and get them squared away in live fire entries. Administrators need to realize that this is high-speed training, not just for the emergency response unit, but also for the regular rank and file, road patrol officers and deputies that can come in and get some real valuable training inside the shoot house. If we don't have one, and there's no jurisdiction to let us use one, then we can construct facades on the range that still, although it still may be one-directional shooting, it allows us to cross the threshold, and that's important, to move through a door and engage targets. A step up from that would be a U-shaped berm, which allows us to move across that threshold now in the range and shoot both left, right, and straight ahead. That's the next best thing. And then finally, if none of those things are available, or in addition to those things, we can shoot paint rounds. Simunition rounds are great, and a great invention for turning any building into a live fire shoot house. It's not as high speed because the danger element isn't there like it is in a live fire house, but it's very good at bringing guys to the next level. And it works great if you don't have access to a live fire house. There's no question that the first thing that's going to happen in a civil suit is they're going to summon all your training records. And you go in there with an empty training file, or a training file that's not what it should be. In other words, you're not doing live fire training, you're not doing man-on-man style training or interactive video training or whatever it might be. The liability, as well as the vicarious liability, which is reaching everybody, supervisors, the chief, the sheriff, whoever might be in charge, there's going to be literally price to pay, because these are the advances that now have been around for years, and we need to make sure that we're training in the current methods, and instead of doing a high-speed job with low speed and low budget training. Our stuff's currently being used in Afghanistan. There's an out-of-the-country team that's working over there right now that we've worked with, as well as several of the military teams that are currently there we've worked with in these particular skills. The stuff is all real world. It works. The intensity behind it and the simplicity of it is what makes it very effective. In addition to that, we try not to do too much stroking and too much patting on the back of an operator. Instead, we're looking for zero margin of error. We're making sure this guy is solid when he gets finished. If he's not solid, we call him on it. If he screws up, we tell him he screws up. And you don't get a lot of smiles in class when you ride somebody that way. But the key here is not to be well-liked when you're finished, but it's to make sure the operator now has skills that are going to increase his survivability. And that's what I'm trying to achieve, and that's what we're trying to achieve on this tape. Sometimes you step on people's toes, but I get more business being that way than I lose, and that's because I think most operators realize that you're only trying to make them better. And strive to be perfect, even though we all know we're human, we'll never be perfect. We're always going to try to be perfect. And the way I look at it is if we're all above average, and we look for above average operators, we never settle for mediocrity, then on his worst day, the operator's still better than the bad guy. But if we accept mediocrity into this type of environment, on a bad day, he may be more dangerous than the bad guy. I want a guy that finishes this program to know that, first off, to understand the skills of what we've done, to know that in training, when they made a mistake and I made them do the technique over again, that same mistake in real life might have cost them their life. And I want them to look at the severity of those mistakes and realize that there is no such thing in this business as a small mistake. They all have a tendency to snowball. You make a mistake, a small mistake here, a small mistake there, you may not recover from it. And there are no such things in shoot house work or in live fire, high risk entry, or real world missions as small mistakes. Everything's a big deal.
Being wall flood, the rules change a little bit now on two-man entry. On four-man, the first guy's got hard corner, second guy hard corner, third guy center, fourth guy center. In two-man, we change the rules. First guy coming in has middle of the room and then hard corner. Number two guy coming in has middle of the room and then his hard corner back to the right. And the reason we do that is because most people will live in the middle of the room. You're not in the corners. Think about it. When's the last time you were in the corner of a room in your house? You don't go there to stand, to sit, or anything. So we're going to play and bank off that natural placement of people in the room and come in, go middle. Nobody's in the middle. Where could they be? Hard corner. So it's just the opposite. Now you got to be heads up because we'll go two-man, 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 and then we're going to hit that last room, which in last room means I bring the whole element up. In this case, four guys. Now I'm back to one-man hard corner, two-man hard corner. If I'm still running two-man entry in my brain, I come in, go middle of the room instead of hard corner. Somebody could get hurt that way. So you got to be heads up. You're going two-man, rules of engagement would be middle of the room, then hard corner. You're running four-man, it would be hard corner, middle of the room for the first two guys. Remember on two-man entry, we're going how far down the wall?
Halfway.
Halfway, 50% down the wall. You've been running 2/3 down as the one-man or the two-man. Now you're running 50% down the wall. On the short wall, we're still running short on the short wall, which is less than halfway. That'll never change. That keeps you out of a crossfire. Any questions about what we're going to do? We'll start it here now. We're still on our same teams, 1 through 3. All right, let's go to work. The next door, he moves, you move. You got the hall. Guys, when you're moving down a narrow space, like you see this is right here, you've got to get over, or else your guy's not going to be able to do what? Cover the hole. You'll be the guy that gets shot because you're the first man. So maximize your space. He's up, he moves, you move. Last room! Maximize your space, move up there to the jam. Last room. Last room means we're all going. Pay attention to what the command is. Hard corner, middle, middle.
One clear! Two clear! Clear! One clear!
Okay, all right. All right, listen up. Last room means last room. Last room means last room. Maximize your space right here where it gets real tight with that door. You've got to be able to get 3 shooters up there. Hang on a second. Yeah, let's check them out here. Okay, guys, another thing. Come here, Ranger. When I'm up here, he's covering down that way. Get your pea shooter out. I don't know about you, but I want the guy covering the hall like that. If you have to shoot, this guy's not going to be able to see or hear. He's going to beat your butt when he gets out of the hospital. Right? Extend your arm past here. Now I got it. I give the squeeze up, I'm good to go. All right? Think about where your muzzle is. Don't have your muzzle right by the guy's face. All right? We always call it when we see it. So when I see it, I call it. Last room! I know those guys are in that room and they're talking, right? Clear left, clear right, not clear, barricade, moving. That's realistic what would be going on inside that room. So they may not have heard last room. Then when you hear 1 clear, 2 clear, what would you say again? Last room. Now they know. That way you're going to have both guys come out instead of one guy hold. He may not know that's the last room. That could be all hallway with no rooms off either side, 30 feet down before that door's there. Then he would not know as easy as it is right here. So don't get confused by this setup because they're not always going to be like this. Okay, so call it when you see it, call it again when they're clear. Here we go. Gun up, 3 man. Guys, you'll be on the hall. Squeeze up when you're ready. Maximize your space.
1 clear! 2 clear! Out!
Maximize your space. Distance is time. Stay in the door jam for a minute. I'll come out when he moves you move. Come on. Stay in the jam. You can't walk the whole thing. only squeezed you once. Guys, he'll only get one squeeze. I only need one squeeze from the 3-man. That's saying I got the haul and I'm ready to go. You don't need to squeeze you twice. Good, good. All right. Continue to set down the wall in that room. Don't run, 1 man. Don't run. Moves you move. Moves you move. But up. It's not up. Come back. It's one of your space. Step in your tight. Get that other muscle in there. Stand over here.
Nice room! One clear! Two clear! Out! Out! Nice room! One clear! Two clear! Three clear! One clear! Out!
Okay. All right.
One clear! Ten clear! Out! One clear! Two clear! Out! Last room! One clear! Last room! One clear! Two clear! Three clear! Four clear! Clear 1! Clear 2! Out!
Take your number, folks.
One clear! Two clear! Out! One clear! Ten clear! Last room! One hole! Last room!
Out of the way.
Give me 2!
Get your gun out.
Got 1! Give me 2! Got 2!
Good job, 1 man.
One clear! Two clear! Three clear! One clear! Last room! Hold it! One clear! Two clear! Out!
And the door jamb. Cox.
One clear! Two clear! Out!
Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing, Ronnie. Hold that gun.
Hold it! One clear! Two clear! Out!
All right, gather up. Silent dynamic. What we're doing here is we're moving into a large structure, clearing it in a leapfrog method. We're not sure. We want to make sure that the guy doesn't know where we're at any sooner than he needs to know where we're at, which could be possible. If we're in one wing of the school and he's in the other one, and we don't know it, we might be able to clear a lot of rooms hunting for him before he knows we're there and we know where he's at. So we're going to do what I call a silent dynamic. When you go in the room, we're not making any verbal commands. There's no 1 clear, 2 clear, no left clear, right clear, no out, nothing. It's all happening. You come in, there's nothing in your primary, secondary overlap suite. You get out of the room. The squeeze up, as always, lets the guy know, the number 2 man know that you're ready and that you have the haul. The way we're going to deal with last room, and you need to, is this. I'm the number 1 man. I'm going to do this. What's going to signify our pull and hold? Move it out of the way. I move out of the way. Next man knows he's got it because that's our rule. If your guy's not in front of me, I'm up ready to shoot center mass. So he moves out of the way. That shows you your pull and hold. Those guys that are in that room are looking. They see this. They know that you need how many? 2. You're going to come up in the stack. If I'm the first guy coming up in the stack, I'll go like that. I'll let that guy know that's hanging in the doorway. We still need you. He's going to come. We squeeze up. We hit. Same thing when we come back out. We're grouping on that door to exit. When I get stacked on the door, I'm letting them know. The whole element's starting. That's how we're coming back. We get to this hallway right here, L-shaped hallway going to the right. That's exactly what we have. I'm letting everybody know we got L-shaped hallway going to the right. Everybody good? No noise, no commands. None at all. 0. Here we go. First team's up. other way on the leapfrog now. Call your group. Good job. There again, consistently, first team doing a pretty good job there. I don't know how when you got tracked. Okay, next team 2 is on deck. Good job, guys. We're going to go into that last room, which is still the last room. All the barricades and closets are in play, as are the other 2 rooms. Clear that stuff in there, and then come back out and start your leapfrog back. Okay, so we're just adding those back 2 rooms and the barricades in those back rooms. That space there, bud.
Last roll! Hold! Get there! Give me 2! Got 1! You got 2!
A lot going on this room.
I can see the chair! Clear! Can you see the couch? I got you down the couch! Get up and check that one.
Use your other hand to point with that.
What you got left side? You got a hallway in the closet. All right, 3 and 4 man, move up and clear the couch on this side. Moving! Move! Okay! Moving back! Move! Shift left! All right, got the closet. Move up, take the hallway! Okay! Group! Hold the right side! One clear! One clear behind me! You see behind the dress? I can see it! Okay! Out! One clear! One clear! Two clear! Right clear! Out!
Get your muzzle up quicker.
Okay! Shifting left!
Unknowns are out of play.
Okay! Sound off! Sound off!
One clear!
2 clear! 3 clear! 4 clear! Out! Out!
Out. Leapfrog going back now.
Let's go! One clear! Clear! Go!
Yeah, that guy's already there.
One clear! 2 clear! Out!
Good job by that team. Good job. Good job. Hey, when the guy moves, like Matt, we both move, Vince, you guys both move in front of the closet, right? Both guns are down, right? And then finally, you realize it, your gun comes up, and then when you move down to pull the closet door, your gun comes up in slow motion. Right, get your gun up, when the guy, you gotta move your gun up, when the guy moves out of the way, and I'm here, I'm right to here. I don't have time to bring it up in slow motion. Okay, other than that, pretty good. All right, next team.
One clear! 2 clear! Out! Last room! Hold! Give me 2, last room! Got 1! Got
clear the corner when you go in. Stay clear the corner.
Clear! Move! Through! Come on, that's clear! Closet! Moving! Move! Shifting!
All right, where are you going? Stay on the wall.
Clear!
Clear, hey, clear eye level
Move
first.
back.
You're clear
Move.
looking up first. Clear eye level first, then look up. You came in off buzzing like that. You're eye level first, okay? Out's the next command. Okay, this technique's used when now?
You got
Open doors!
Open doors. Okay, last technique we did, 4-man element, 2-man leapfrog, 2 guys going in the room, 2 guys holding the hall. This is when the doors are open like they are now. It's a much safer technique. It starts out the same. All 4 guys, as you work. The last 3 guys will always have hallway responsibility. So while they're coming across to go into the room, they'll have hallway first, and then they got to move into the room. You got to be heads up with your muzzle. You got to know where the guy is in front of you when you enter that room, so you're not sweeping him with your hot weapon. So we start it the same way, just like that. When they go in, here's how. Hold for a second. Here's how we do a 3-man entry on a wall flood. First guy goes left. Second guy goes right. Where's the third guy go? Okay, he can go left, which is a natural flow. Left, right, left. He could go in the center, left, right, in the middle, and he could also go wherever the most oddities are. Left, right, there's 2 closets on the left, left. Okay, he'll go where the most problems are. Left, right, there's a bunch of people on the right, right. So that's what dictates where he goes. For sake of us, with sterile rooms, make it left, right, in the middle. Okay, he's in the middle on the wall. Okay, here we go. We got the hallway in, right here.
1 clear! 2 clear! 3 clear! Out!
Okay, 3 clear. Going straight across to the next room. This is a dangerous one now because it's zigzag this way. Got to take the hall in the room. Hall in the room. Come out. Hold right here.
Clear! Clear! Out!
All 3 clear. Get right here. We'll call what now? Last room. Last room. That means all 4 of them will go into this next room. 4-man wall flush. Hard corner. Middle of the room. Middle of the room.
2 clear! 3 clear! 4 clear!
All right. Good. Good. All right. Room, the 4 men go in. Should the 4th man come here then? No, you can't, because if the shooting starts in there, you're going to get shot right in the side right here. Okay. That's why we don't go until it's clear, then we move up into the jam.
Yes, you have it.
Take the hall. Take the hall. Take the hall. Now hold. Now you're shot in the doorway. Right? Wait till they clear the room first. Then when you hear 3 clear, then move up here and reset yourself in the last room.
Last room!
Hard corner.
1 clear! 2 clear! 3 clear! 4 clear! Out!
First thing, move smooth, heel to toe, stay together.
Oh boy!
There's already a gap when you start off that way.
3 clear! 3 clear! Out!
Door jam. Move smooth, heel to toe, don't run. All the way in, all the way in. Hold.
1 clear! 2 clear! 3 clear! Out!
Door jam now. Go straight across. Got the hallway 2. Got the hallway 3-man. Hold.
1 clear!
Back up some.
3 clear! Out!
Have yourself in front of that doorway. No. Look where your ass out. I shoot some ignition on where your ass out. Back here. Protect yourself in the jam. Isn't that better for you?
Yeah.
Gives you some cover. You got to have some cover. Use it where we.
Last room!
Stay together. Stay together.
1 clear! 2 clear! 3 clear! 4 clear! Out!
Okay.
1 clear! 2 clear! 3 clear! Out!
gap between the one man and two man, probably because when you get the squeeze and you start to go, the one man's moving, your feet are still flat on the floor. When his feet to pick up, your feet got to pick up, or there'll always be a gap because you're not starting at the same time. Noticeable gaps between one and two men. In a tactical environment, since we're always going to work no less than two guys together, we'll clear high man, low man. What that makes the guy do is decide if he's in there and you come around high man, low man, he's got to either shoot the low guy or the high guy. He can't get you both. Right? There's no way. He's got that kind of gun. Right? He can't. That hesitation on who he's going to shoot allows you to get the first round off. And that's the key. Okay? So when we're working here, I want to make sure I work this angle. If I get way back here behind Matt, I got too much distance to travel. He's only got to take one step out and kneel. I've got to come all the way around to get over his head. That's going to take too long. It won't be simultaneous. And that's the key, is both guns come around the corner at the same time. So I'll bring my body out this way some. The guy that's inside the hall still can't see me. That's what you got to realize. He still can't see me, and I lessen the distance I have to travel. Okay? Although, in this particular technique, I got to make sure that I got my gun started this way. My gun's literally going to swing around the top of his head when I take my side of the hallway. What side of the hallway will he have? And I'll have right, just like you do when you come in the room. First guy's left, second guy's right. I get in this position here, I get a squeeze up.
Left clear!
Right clear! Got left side, I got right side. Now, I got an exaggerated shooting stance. I don't shoot with my legs out wide apart. I shoot about shoulder width apart. But because I know he's putting his feet out there, I exaggerate that step. I'm completely over the top of his body. That way, if he makes a mistake to stand up, I can keep him down. I'm not back here. Now he makes that same mistake, and I end up shooting him in the back of the head. Okay, so my body, I'm all right over the top of him. He's got left side, I got right side. When he's clear, he can say clear left, clear right. Now before I pick him up, my gun comes out of the way, and then I pick him up. I always reach over my gun. I've always moved over my gun first and reach over the top. If I don't, and I grab him first and then pick him up, see what happens. The taller he is, the worse it is for him, because the gun's going to be right in the back of his head. Not to mention, when you're working a shoot house, now the gun's up high pointing at somebody on the catwalk. So to prevent that, gun out of the way, reach over the top, pick him up, and I can bring my gun right back in play. Okay? Bring my gun right back in play. Some mistakes. One mistake will be getting back here, too far behind me, not playing the angle. You got to move out here and play the angle. Another mistake, go to a kneeling position. Another mistake is instead of swinging out around on the top of his head, I do this. Loaded gun now, right? You can have a loaded gun. And when I go to recover, instead of moving my gun out of the way and picking him up, loaded gun. You see those problems, right? Now you compound that problem with you forgot to take your finger off the trigger, and you've already got the slack out of the gun, perhaps, because you just got finished shooting a thread in there, targets in there. Well, you got some problems. You're going to kill your own man. Okay? How do we avoid that? When he went down, I went around his head. When I'm finished, I come away from him, reach over him, pick him up, and get back in play. Everybody good? Okay? The key is both guys going around same thing. What I do now, for this side, this will be easier for a lefty. That side over there will be harder for a lefty. Lefty will start right here to begin with. When he gives a squeeze up, he'll go all the way around to right here. When he's finished, all he has to do to recover safely, gun out of the way at low ready, pick him up, and move. It will become more difficult over there for a lefty. You'll have to do this, and then you'll have to do this to recover, where the right-hander will do this, and this will recover. So it depends on which side we're going. When we start this drill now, we call the hallway wind. When we see it. So we'll start about right here, and the first guy will make the call. Hallway! That's the call. I get up in. He can't go anywhere till I squeeze. It only takes two guys to do the hallway drill, which means if we had guys over there searching that room or coming down the hall and doing other missions as we move into this hallway, him and I could get this far.
Left clear!
Right clear! Come out of the way, pick him up, and then when we got to the next room, we'd have to hold, right? All we need then to continue to do what? How many more? Two. One, technically, because we could go in and that guy can hold the hall. We'd be into a leapfrog technique. See what I mean? So all we need is two guys to do the hallway. Then they have to hold before they do any room clear. first guy, I'll call it. If you're the first guy in line, next time you come through, be the second guy, so on and so forth. All right, everybody understand what we're going to do? See that long magazine now? Go ahead, just get me in position. But I'm not paying attention. Right? Here I'm going to have to modify my stance to do this. I've got to be up. I can't rest on his head. I've got to be able to shoot. But all the other principles are the same. If you have a real tall guy and you're shorter, you'd want to swap out. You want the short guy to be the low man, not the tall guy. Now you're in a position like this. So I got to modify my stance to be able to shoot without scraping his helmet, without resting on him, because he has to shoot too. All the mechanics of moving the gun are the same. I just got to modify my position. Okay, the recovery's the same. Gun out of the way first. Reach over my gun. Pick him up. Get back in play if I can. Okay. Forward! Same thing on this side. This will be easier for a right-hander. Play the angle. I got my gun off to the side, not back here. This is RSO, which will be one of you guys soon, is standing right there.
Left clear!
Right clear! Gun out of the way. Pick him up. Move down the hall. Pretty simple. For a left-hander now, he'll start with his hand right here in the wrong hand. Now he's got to swing out over the top of him.
Left clear!
Right clear. Gun out of the way. Pick him up. Move on down the hall. Everybody good. Guys, the safety in this thing is crucial. I can't have you sweeping your gun up the back of the guy's neck when you're doing the drill or when you're recovering from the drill. Okay? I got to see when you're dry that you're doing everything right. So when we go hot, you're doing everything right. I'm saying. The place you with AD here would be the back of the guy's head.
Left clear! Right clear!
Left clear!
Right clear! All the way! All the way!
Left clear!
Right clear! All the way! All the way! Left clear!
Right clear! Other side.
All the way! Left clear! Right clear! Left clear! Right clear! Left clear! Right clear!
This is a high-stress environment. Live fire is always dangerous. The good news is these guys are smart enough to be working live fire, and unfortunately the majority of the SWAT teams in the country don't even work a live firehouse because they don't have access to one. So they're doing good. This is a high-stress environment. They got to think quick. I don't try not to let anything go unnoticed, and that's not helping them there either. All the way! Left clear!
Right clear!
All the way on this side. Pick him up. Go in the hall. Holster. Finger out and holster. And come on out and get back in the line. Good job.
Left clear! Right clear! Left clear!
Right out of the way. Pick him up. Very tactical. Holster. Safety on the long gun. Sling it low. Good.
Left clear! Right clear!
Make it safe.
Right clear!
Holster.
Left clear! Right clear!
Wait. Make it safe. Finger out and holster. If I'm ever in doubt about the safety issue of it in training, my muzzle's going to be where?
Down.
Down. Okay? So you answer your own question. But you do have room if you do what you're supposed to. Let's get up there on the door, the first man, maximize all that space. That gun might have to be all the way back here on your chest for you to still have a center of mass shot so you can move right up onto the edge of the door. And that gives the other guy room enough to get up there close instead of being back like this. I get up in there close. Same thing. If we all do that, there is room. There is room for all three of you right there in that one spot. Okay? I'm going to let you do the pull and hold now on the door. the pull and hold on the door. The thing that'll be a whistleblower is while you're ready to pull the door, you got your gun like this, getting ready to flash everybody as they go past you, just like in the closet where we had that problem yesterday. So make sure you call pull and hold, you step out of the way, and gun can go down because the guy behind you gun comes up. So it's not like we give up the threat area. We put your gun down, his gun up. Everybody good on that? If you don't do that, I'm going to blow the whistle. It's going to slow you down, so on and so forth. The back room, nothing's in play right now as far as oddities. No closets in play, no barricades. Styrofoam or three-dimensional dummies in there or in that back room, they're bad guys, and all your targets are still threats at this point, okay? Okay, who ran out of bullets? You'd be dead. You'd be dead in the room. All right, you run those two rooms up there, you never once think about changing mags. Not good. Both of them on this side ran out of bullets. All right, get your mags. Clear! Out! Safety, come here, Ryan. Oh, that's all right. I got him. Come here, Ryan. Come in here. Okay, go with me. Okay, come on over here. Do your deal.
Point clear! Two clear! Out!
You move. Watch your muzzle. Already move.
Two clear! Out! Point hold!
Get out of the way. Gun up.
Last one. Need two!
You would have come out anyway, right? You would have come
Got
out.
one! Got two! One clear! Two clear! Three clear! Four clear! Check! Okay! Ready! Check! Okay! Check! Okay! Ready! Okay!
Finger out. Hold. 4 and 4. Good. 2 man.
4, 4.
Good. 3 man.
4, 4.
Probably gonna take him too. 4 man. That'd be overlap this way. 4, 4. Okay, good. All right. Not bad. Okay, here we go. Get your guns up. Start to squeeze.
One clear! Two clear! Out!
Safety on. Safety on.
One clear! Two clear! Out!
To the door.
One clear! Two clear! Out!
Pull and hold.
Pull it hold! Need two!
Out of the way.
Got one!
Out of the way.
Got
Lower your muzzle.
two! Who's up? One clear! Two clear! Three clear! Four clear! Check! Okay! Check! Okay!
if the guy that you shot took more than 4 bullets to get down, you'd have been in trouble. Or if one of those guys that went down got back up, or if one of those rooms was in play and somebody came out, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. The rule of thumb on a pistol, okay, that's what pistols are not good for a primary entry weapon, because the rule of thumb is every room I shoot with a pistol, I should have to check through it. See how time consuming that would be? But that's the rule. If I'm going to shoot in a room, I should check the pistol because it runs out of bullets too soon. And those long guns will run out of bullets too. Don't play the gamble. If you know you got to check, you should check. All I'd have to do to get you is say, okay, let's do one more room. And you'd have problems. Don't forget, don't do a check drill till you're cleared the room. Doesn't make any sense to pull the mag out of your gun before you've cleared the room.
No.
Not whatsoever. Make sure the room's clear and then call check. All the way down to 2 man. Clear in the big room with 4 men, your last room, then all 4 guys room on the left, all 4 guys room on the right. When you call your out down there, I'm going to hide behind that wall there, so don't muzzle flash me when you're coming out. Muzzle flash me there. Come out the last room on the left. Look down that muzzle, got to look down your sights there. Watch your muzzles. Safeties.
Very clear!
Muzzles. Safety on the long gun. Okay, good. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, and communicate. Okay, 2 man down, 4 man in the big room. You got responsibility for both rooms and the closets now. Okay? Same thing you just did, but now the closets are in play. So obviously you can't send, and the other 2 rooms, you can't send all 4 guys in the room on the left without holding somebody in the room on the right, just like what you did yesterday. Safety on.
Last round, pull it on! Clear! Give me time! Okay. Hold!
Ready!
Okay!
Out!
Give me 2!
Got 1!
Got 2!
Safety, man.
Move! Shift to left! Shift left! Right!
Safety's on the long gun. Your muscles are low ready. Got your own man back here in the room.
Hey, I got the whole way.
What are we doing?
Turn the closet. Turn the closet.
Okay, safety's
Up
on.
there.
Safety's on.
Group.
All right, Brian. Oh. Safety's on.
Moving! Move!
Watch your muzzle, Matt. Over.
Okay!
Safety on.
Moving back!
Okay, safety's on. Want you to run out of bullets? Yes, sir. Safety on the long gun. Safety on the long gun. Muzzle down. Muzzle down. Muzzle down. You're gonna blow the door, right?
Two man, you got the right side? Got it, okay. Clear. Group.
Group.
Clear. All. Check. Okay. Okay. Group. Ready. Ready? Moving on the closet. Hold. Check. Okay. Ready? Okay, moving. Move.
Watch your muzzles.
Moving back. Moving.
Finger out. Holster. Holster. Okay. All right. Not bad. Not bad. You have time to check. Once again, that's why we want long guns, Captain, instead of pistols. A pistol is not a primary entry weapon. You can see. Can you imagine what a pain? But if you don't check in every room, you run the risk of getting so much concentration and focus on what you're doing that you're going to run out of bullets. Oh man, that's going to cost you your life. It's going to cost you your life. So first thing is we got to have the right equipment. Those long guns will run out of bullets too. They'll run out of bullets too. What's good about them is you can work a couple rooms without having to go ahead and change, all things being equal, certainly in training. But they will run out of bullets too. You have to have command and control. When you run this, and I say, hey, make sure you got an element commander, you do a pretty good job. When you don't have an element commander, it's 4 guys talking. That's all it is. Nobody's listening, nobody's doing anything. Some of you decide to do it on your own and divide the entry team. Well, we'll go do our thing on this side and start moving off the safety of the wall without letting anybody know what you're doing. That's not good. That's not good. You know what you're supposed to do. Some of you, we've been in the same room. Same room. I don't know how many times counting yesterday and today. That's that big room with the closets have not moved. They're still in the same spot. I still have the same bad guys in there. And the confusion that some of you seem to present is questionable. Questionable. It'd be different if it was our first run today. Okay, it's not. You've been running through here. You got to pay attention to what's going on. And some of you still look confused. Some of you, and this is what makes the team right here. Well, I said before. You got 1 or 2 guys that are clicking nonstop on every element. And when that happens, that guy is saving everybody. Some of you are along for the ride. You know who you are. But it's the other guys with you that are pushing you through, making you live the moment, and you're coming out alive. And that's what a team's all about, to be honest with you. That's what a team's all about. 2 shots when you're threat in your area of responsibility. 2 shots. Last man's up. We're doing penetration plug. Out and holster. Out. Four-man penetration. 2 shots for every guy in your area of responsibility. I'm your last man up. This room only.
Last man up!
Yep. Go do your check drill.
Okay! Ready! Ready! Check! Okay! Check! Okay! Ready! Out!
Hold. That should have been a hold on you, Vince, right? You're yelling, he's yelling out. And you got a guy still checking. You got to give a hold. Make him safe, finger out and holster. Okay, good. That's what, you know what I'm saying? You just got to, you're listening to him, you got to listen over here too. Okay, out.
One clear! 2 clear! 3 clear! 4 clear! Check! Okay!
Check! Okay!
Ready! Check! Okay!
Ready! Check! Okay!
Okay!
Ready! Okay! Make him safe, finger on holster. Okay, good. Good, good check drill. Good close. We're doing all 3 rooms. You got center door, short right. Okay, short right. Last man up! Last man's up. Okay, now in that last entry, when you get in that last room, I threw all of you in there to, okay, now clear the closet. And most of you shut down, right? Then you came back online, but you shut down. How many times have you cleared the closet, right? Remember, I even told you on the penetration flood, we're separated like that. How many guys do you want to move on an oddity? Two. If we can move two, let's move two. In that case, we can. Bring up one from the other side like you did. The guy you bring up, let him pick up the slack stuff. You shot a guy and the guy's laying down, bring him over to put a point on that guy, muzzle on that guy, and then use the two guys that have been working together on that side to move up and in this case do the closet or do the barricade or deal with the unknown that refused to comply with verbal commands or whatever it is. Okay? You've got the stuff to make everything work now, you just got to use it. We'll start from right here. You'll come in and face your targets. He'll yell cover.
Cover!
I'll turn around. I got this guy right here. He'll clear his malfunction.
Ready!
My gun's out of the way. Always towards the hot area. Not here. I'm standing there. The rest of the team's there. Here. Pick him up. Get back on your flat. Boom, boom. That's cover. There are two cues to let me know to pick Matt up. One is
Ready!
he yells he's ready. The other is, in case he forgets, I see his gun's out there. I know he's ready. Gun up, come back to my area of responsibility.
Cover!
Ready?
Ready!
You're ready. Snap that. Get that magazine. Come back up.
Cover! Ready!
Well, then I'm way over the top. Don't be wrong. Now pick him up. Now back to the target and make it safe. Holster. You're on hold.
Cover! Ready!
Holster. You're on hold.
Cover! Ready!
Make him safe. Make it on holster. Remember, always train him.
Cover! Ready!
Safe. Make it on holster. One man has the malfunction. Make it safe. You're out holster. Make it safe, figure out holster.
I need to take my time.
Make it safe, figure out holster.
I need to take my time.
Make it safe, figure out holster. Make it safe, figure out holster. Okay, what we're getting ready to do is run some entry techniques using level A suits, which are hazardous material suit, total encapsulating, which means that the operator on the inside has to have a self-contained breathing apparatus because it's completely sealed on the outside. And we're working these techniques to be able to respond to any entries where there might be a chemical or biological problem that we need to resolve.
So we're ready. On up. Pull this one up.
Here, Brian. He's carrying a towel with him here so he can wipe the inside of his mask off. His shield in front of the level A suit will fog up when he starts to work. after about 10 or 12 minutes. So he carries his own towel inside there. What he can do is he'll pull his support arm, the non-shooting arm, through the suit, grab his towel, and wipe his face shield off, and then he's good to see again for a little bit longer till it falls the next time. So that's what the towel's for. You see the other guy's got the towel on us. The fire departments, what they are starting to do, they're also concerned now, realizing that their typical hazmat spill that they respond to may not be a typical hazmat spill. It could be a terrorist incident, and they're not armed, so they're also reaching out for police departments to respond with them. And if we're going to go into the hot zone, we have to be protected in the hot zone. This is a visibility. He loses a lot of peripheral vision here. We're working on looking at some suits that that DuPont makes that start with the open the clear shield back here, which means you'll have better visibility. So we're looking at some suits that are a little bit more state-of-the-art that are out right now. They're giving more peripheral vision that he loses with this gear on. These are training suits. They're real suits, $450. They're kept in a seal-tight bag. They won't be utilized, and unfortunately, unless a real thing happens. These are training suits. They're a lot less expensive for to work in. You can see some of the problems we have is zippers tearing, other things where I don't think some of the manufacturers are ready for the type of stress that SWAT team members are going to put on these suits, and which is significant. And therefore, we're going to have to contact the manufacturers to reinforce zippers, make sure the Velcro's a little thicker and so it's stronger, and then we won't have these same type of problems where the guy's going to be compromised or the suit's going to be compromised because the suit's not tough enough to deal with the toughness of the entries. Okay, good. Hold. That's good. Okay, Brian. No, you don't either. Careful, Brian. Yep. Engage your target, let's say 4 shots, semi-auto per threat. 4 shots, semi-auto per threat. If I blow the whistle, don't do anything. Okay, that's a safety. Blow the whistle, you quit. Okay, here we go. Let's do another same thing, and then the third one will be full auto. Okay, but control first. Tell you what, after you shoot these guys and you call the room clear, group on the other door like you did before. Just move to that stack. Make sure your safeties are on though. Safety's on, group on the other door. Safety's on. Okay, safety's on, we're ready. Okay, all right. Let's do control burst, auto. Full auto control burst. Full auto control burst. 3-round burst. Safety's on, group on the other door, move to the other threat. You got bullets? Okay, here's what we'll do. Come in, shoot what you got. Then when you call group, 2 guys move to that door, 2 guys move to this door, like we're going to do simultaneous entries, okay? looks like what might we have to be concerned about in the future. You know, guys don't want to address it because it's very expensive, and they don't want to me, they're still living inside the box. And we got to think outside the box, and whether like it or not, this is probably the next SWAT evolution right here. This particular house is an excellent house. A couple things I like about it. One is that it's got a finished look. And what's good about that, and what I mean is it looks like a house. It looks like a regular, real live-in structure, not a typical tire house, even though it is constructed of tires. And that's good because it adds realism to the training. It also has a catwalk. A lot of the houses I've worked in don't have catwalks, and that's a disadvantage because not only can we not RSO from up above, which is important, but other team members can't climb up and watch the team from high up, which is important to be able to do that. You can see a lot of things when you're up there. So it has a catwalk. It's covered, which means we can use it in any kind of weather. There again, I've been in places where we're locked out if it's too cold or if it's raining, so on and so forth. One of the greatest things it has that very few houses have is it has video. Every room has a camera in it. Some rooms have 2 or 3 cameras, which allows us to tape the training, pull the tape at the end of the training day, plug it in the TV, and let the operators actually see the mistakes they made right there real time as they're occurring. Because they don't always think they're doing the things that you say they're doing, and they can actually see themselves in operation. So that's a real plus. It also has rooms that are of different size, which is realistic in a typical location, a structure. They're not always going to be the same. And it has offset doors. A lot of houses, shoot houses have been constructed where not enough forethought was given, might have all the doors being in the center of the room. And in real life, that's not where they all are. Some are off to the left or off to the right, and this house has those also. So it's an excellent house for all those reasons. And I had mentioned to the sheriff back when this house was constructed that dollar for dollar, this really could be probably one of the, if not the, best houses in the country. Certainly not the largest, certainly, but it also didn't cost them millions of dollars to build. So if you look at the amount of money spent, they've done a great job. This is a solid house. The people in this area should be using it on a daily basis.
Although we only covered certain entry techniques in this video, wall flood, penetration flood, leapfrog techniques, there's a lot of other techniques out there that 1 week shooting class, high-risk entry class, or a video aren't going to cover in just one volume. We got things that we could have thrown in here like 3-man entry techniques with a shield, 3 men without a shield, limited penetration technique, immediate threat, continuous flood, online, power flood. There are numerous. So there's a lot of systems out there. Those that I just mentioned are excellent, but there's a lot of systems out there that still shouldn't be there. We don't want to see crisscross techniques anymore. Stay away from running the walls. We don't have the hit potential we should have to be able to run the walls. We're putting ourselves at danger. And the wedge technique, where we're leaving 2 guys on the wall with 1 operator closing the wedge and clearing barricades as he goes, also not a good technique because you put yourself in a crossfire. Stay safe.
Technical experts swear by the adage, train as you live and live as you train. The Train Hard, Fight Easy video series is committed to raising awareness of the importance of proper training, mindset, and tactical skills. By targeting hot topics ranging from hostage rescue to close quarter combat to sniper training, the Train Hard, Fight Easy video series will keep you fired up and looking forward to the next high-impact video. Train hard, fight easy. There is no acceptable alternative.
Unload, make them safe. Mags out, mags away. Slide to the rear. Visually inspect the chamber and the magazine well. Sure both are empty, and I'll do the same. You'll holster an empty weapon. Holster. 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 Holster.